Stay with me until the end of this video, because the third step in the protocol I am going to give you today is the one that almost nobody talks about, the one that most doctors never mention during a regular checkup, and according to the science, the one that makes the biggest difference in draining the fluid that accumulates in your ankles before you go to sleep. If you leave before we get there, you will miss exactly what your body has been waiting for. So stay with me. I am Dr. David Volds, and welcome to Body Reset After 50, the channel where we talk about what is actually happening inside your body after 60, with real science, real explanations, and real solutions you can apply starting today. If you are new here, subscribe now and hit the notification bell, because what we do here is different. We do not sell supplements. We do not push miracle creams. We give you the truth about your biology so you can make informed decisions about your own health. Now let me ask you something. Do your ankles look noticeably thicker by the end of the afternoon? Do your socks leave a deep groove in your skin that takes several minutes to disappear after you take them off? Have you been told by someone, maybe even a doctor, that it is probably your heart, or that you need to eat less salt, or that it is simply part of getting older? If any of that sounds familiar, then what I am about to tell you is going to change the way you understand what is happening in your body, because in the majority of people over 60 who experience this kind of ankle swelling, the heart is not the primary cause, the salt is not the primary cause, and age alone is not an explanation. The real answer lies in a system that most people have never heard explained properly. A system that works silently in the background every single day, and that after the age of 60 begins to lose efficiency in ways that have a direct and measurable effect on your ankles, your legs, your sleep, and your overall sense of how your body feels. That system is your lymphatic system. And today we are going to understand exactly what it is, why it slows down after 60, what that slowdown does to your ankles, how to tell the difference between lymphatic swelling and other types of swelling, and most importantly, what you can do about it with a simple daily protocol that takes less than 5 minutes and can begin tonight. Let us start with the basics, because understanding the system is what makes the solution make sense. Most people know about the circulatory system. The heart pumps blood through the arteries, delivers oxygen and nutrients to the cells, and the blood returns through the veins. That is the closed loop everyone learns about in school. But there is a second circulatory system running alongside it that most people know almost nothing about. It is called the lymphatic system, and it is arguably just as important as the blood circulation for your health and your sense of physical well-being. Here is what the lymphatic system does. Every day, as blood flows through the tiny capillaries in your tissues, a small amount of fluid leaks out of the blood vessels into the surrounding tissue. This fluid carries proteins, waste products, cellular debris, and immune cells. The job of the lymphatic system is to collect that leaked fluid, called lymph, and return it to the bloodstream. The lymphatic system is essentially your body's drainage network. It runs parallel to the blood vessels throughout the entire body, from the tips of your toes to the top of your head, collecting fluid from the tissues and transporting it through a series of lymph vessels and lymph nodes back to the central circulation. Now here is the critical difference between your lymphatic system and your cardiovascular system, and this difference explains everything about why your ankles swell. Your cardiovascular system has a pump. It is called the heart, and it beats approximately 100,000 times per day, generating the pressure that moves blood through the entire body. Your lymphatic system has no pump. It has no equivalent of the heart. Instead, lymph moves through the lymphatic vessels by a combination of 3 mechanisms: the contraction of skeletal muscles as you move, the breathing movements of the diaphragm, and the rhythmic contraction of the smooth muscle in the walls of the larger lymphatic vessels themselves. In simpler terms, the lymphatic system only moves when you move. When you are sedentary, it stagnates. This is the fundamental reason why ankle swelling is so much more common after 60 than at younger ages. It is not just that the lymphatic vessels become less efficient with age, although that is also true. It is the combination of reduced physical activity, more time spent sitting or standing still, stiffer lymphatic vessel walls, weaker muscle contractions, and shallower breathing patterns that together create a situation where the lymphatic drainage from the lower legs simply cannot keep up with the fluid that accumulates there throughout the day. The fluid builds up in the tissues of the ankles. The ankles swell. By evening, they look and feel noticeably fuller than they did in the morning. And when you lie down at night, gravity shifts, the fluid begins to redistribute into the bloodstream. Your kidneys process the excess volume, and you may find yourself waking up in the middle of the night to urinate. Many people experience this pattern for years without ever understanding why. Now I want to be very precise about something, because accuracy matters in medicine. Not all ankle swelling comes from the same source, and it is important to understand the differences so you can make informed decisions about when to see a doctor and what kind of evaluation you actually need. Ankle swelling in people over 60 has several possible causes. Venous insufficiency, which is when the valves in the leg veins weaken and allow blood to pool in the lower legs, is one of the most common. Lymphatic insufficiency, which is what we are focusing on today, is another. These two often coexist, and in fact, chronic venous insufficiency that goes untreated for years can eventually damage the lymphatic vessels in the legs, creating a combined condition called phlebolymphedema. There is also cardiac edema, which comes from the heart not pumping efficiently enough, causing fluid to back up into the tissues. There is kidney-related edema, there is medication-induced edema from drugs like calcium channel blockers, certain blood pressure medications, and anti-inflammatory drugs, and there is edema related to low albumin levels from nutritional deficiencies or liver disease. This is why I want to be direct with you. If your ankle swelling is new, sudden, affects only one leg, is accompanied by redness, warmth, or pain in the leg, or comes with shortness of breath, chest tightness, or pressure, you need to see a doctor immediately. These are signs that could indicate a deep vein thrombosis, which is a blood clot in the leg, or cardiac or pulmonary issues that require immediate evaluation. What we are discussing today is specifically the chronic, bilateral, gradual swelling that develops symmetrically in both ankles over the course of the day, is worse in the afternoon and evening, and improves overnight when you are lying down. This pattern is consistent with lymphatic and venous insufficiency, and this is where the protocol I am going to teach you has the most direct and evidence-supported impact. Let me tell you about 2 self-tests you can do right now to get a clearer picture of what kind of swelling you are dealing with. The first is called the pitting test. Press your thumb firmly into the swollen area just above your ankle bone and hold that pressure for about 10 seconds. Then release. If the indentation, the pit, persists for more than a few seconds, this is called pitting edema. Pitting edema indicates fluid that is relatively free in the tissue spaces and is more typical of venous or cardiac origin. Non-pitting edema, where the tissue bounces back relatively quickly, is more associated with lymphatic involvement. The second test is called the Stemmer sign, and it specifically evaluates the lymphatic system. Try to pinch and lift a small fold of skin on the top of your foot near the base of the second toe. In a person with healthy lymphatic function, this skin pinches easily and lifts freely. If the skin is thick, tight, and difficult to pinch, or if you cannot pinch it at all, this is a positive Stemmer sign and is a reliable indicator of lymphatic involvement in the swelling. A study published in the Journal of the American College of Surgeons demonstrated that the Stemmer sign has significant clinical utility as a bedside test for identifying lymphatic dysfunction. These 2 tests do not replace a proper medical evaluation, but they give you useful information about the nature of your swelling and help you have a more informed conversation with your doctor. Now, let us talk about 3 food patterns that quietly make ankle swelling worse in people over 60, because what you eat affects your lymphatic function in ways that most people are never told about. The first is excessive sodium. When you consume more sodium than your kidneys can efficiently excrete, the body retains water to maintain the sodium-to-water balance in the blood. This increases the total fluid volume in the vascular system, which increases the amount of fluid that leaks into the tissues from the capillaries, which in turn adds to the burden on the lymphatic system. The average American adult consumes significantly more than the recommended daily limit of sodium, largely because of the hidden sodium in processed foods, restaurant meals, deli meats, canned soups, and packaged snacks. Reducing sodium intake is not a cure for lymphatic insufficiency, but it removes one of the factors that compounds the problem every single day. The second food pattern is inadequate protein intake. This is particularly relevant in older adults, who often eat less protein than they need. Proteins, particularly albumin, play a crucial role in maintaining what is called oncotic pressure, which is the force that keeps fluid inside the blood vessels rather than leaking into the surrounding tissues. When albumin levels drop, more fluid leaks out of the capillaries, and the lymphatic system has to work harder to drain it. Studies consistently show that protein malnutrition in older adults is significantly associated with edema in the lower extremities. Making sure you are getting adequate high-quality protein from sources like lean meat, fish, eggs, legumes, and dairy is a direct investment in reducing the fluid load your lymphatic system has to manage. The third food pattern is insufficient hydration. This seems counterintuitive, just as we discussed in the context of venous insufficiency, but it applies equally here. When the body is chronically mildly dehydrated, it activates fluid retention mechanisms as a protective response. The result is paradoxical swelling, despite low fluid intake. Staying consistently well hydrated throughout the day, with plain water as the primary beverage and limiting alcohol and high-sugar drinks that promote inflammation and fluid retention, supports lymphatic function in a direct and measurable way. Now let us get into the protocol. This is the 5-minute daily habit that, when done consistently, directly activates the mechanisms that move lymphatic fluid out of the lower legs and back into the central circulation. Every single step in this protocol has a physiological rationale supported by published research. The first step is diaphragmatic breathing, also called belly breathing or the thoraco-abdominal pump. This is the step that is most commonly overlooked, and it is the one I want you to understand most deeply because the science behind it is remarkable. The largest lymph vessel in the human body is called the thoracic duct. It runs from the abdomen up through the chest and empties into the left subclavian vein near the base of the neck, where the lymph fluid it carries re-enters the bloodstream. This single vessel is responsible for draining approximately 75% of the lymph from the entire body, including all of the lymph from both legs. And the primary force that moves lymph through the thoracic duct is not muscle contraction. It is breathing, specifically diaphragmatic breathing. Research presented at the 7th International Congress of Lymphology showed definitively that deep diaphragmatic breathing is the main propulsion mechanism for lymph flow through the thoracic duct. When you breathe deeply and engage the diaphragm fully, the pressure changes in the thoracic and abdominal cavities create a pumping action on the thoracic duct that dramatically increases lymph flow through it. The inhalation creates a negative pressure in the chest that acts like suction, drawing lymph up from the abdomen and lower body. The exhalation then pushes the lymph forward through the duct toward the venous angle where it enters the bloodstream. This rhythmic pumping action, repeated with each deep breath, is the most powerful non-invasive mechanism available to accelerate lymphatic drainage from the lower extremities. Here is how to do it correctly. Sit comfortably or lie down. Place one hand on your chest and one hand on your abdomen, just below the ribcage. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4, focusing on expanding your belly outward rather than raising your chest. Feel the hand on your abdomen rise as the diaphragm contracts downward. Hold for 2 counts. Then exhale slowly through pursed lips for a count of 6 to 8, feeling the abdomen fall and deflate as the diaphragm relaxes. As you exhale, you can gently press inward with the hand on your abdomen to increase resistance and further stimulate the emptying of the thoracic duct. Do 10 to 15 complete cycles of this breathing twice per day, once in the morning and once lying down before bed. This single habit, done consistently, has a measurable impact on central lymphatic drainage and directly reduces the fluid load that accumulates in the ankles throughout the day. The second step is ankle pumping combined with leg elevation. This step activates the peripheral lymphatic pump in the lower legs while simultaneously using gravity to assist drainage. Lie down on your bed or a firm surface. Elevate both legs by resting them against the wall or propping them up on several pillows so that your feet are above the level of your heart at approximately a 45-degree angle. Once in this position, Perform ankle pumping. Flex your feet back toward your shins as far as comfortable, hold for 2 seconds, then point your toes away from you, contracting the calf muscles, and hold for 2 seconds. Repeat this flexion and extension movement 20 times with each foot or both feet simultaneously if that feels comfortable. The combination of leg elevation and ankle pumping works through two complementary mechanisms. The elevation uses gravity to assist the passive drainage of fluid from the ankle tissues back into the lymphatic and venous vessels, a mechanism well supported by clinical guidelines from the Cleveland Clinic and multiple vascular medicine organizations for the management of lower limb edema. The ankle pumping activates the calf muscle pump, which compresses the deep venous and lymphatic vessels of the lower leg, with each contraction mechanically pushing the accumulated fluid upward. Research on exercise for chronic venous and lymphatic insufficiency consistently shows that even small, repetitive ankle movements generate meaningful increases in fluid return from the lower extremities. Do this sequence for 10 to 15 minutes, preferably in the evening after a day of activity when the swelling is at its highest. The third step is the one I told you at the beginning of this video to wait for, and now you will understand why it matters so much. It is a sequence of gentle self-lymphatic massage strokes applied to specific areas of the body in a specific order, based on the principles of manual lymphatic drainage, adapted for safe daily self-care. The reason this step is so powerful is that manual lymphatic drainage, when performed correctly, directly decompresses the congested lymphatic pathways and activates the lymphatic collectors to increase their pumping frequency and efficiency. The key insight is this: you do not start at the ankles. That is the most common mistake people make when they try to massage swollen ankles. If you start at the site of swelling without first clearing the pathways upstream, the fluid has nowhere to drain to, and the massage is ineffective. The correct sequence is as follows. Begin at the neck. Using the flat of your fingers, make 10 slow, gentle circular strokes just above the collarbone on both sides of the neck, moving the skin in a downward and inward direction toward the center of the chest. This opens the terminal lymphatic ducts, where the lymph enters the bloodstream and creates a pressure gradient that draws fluid upward from the lower body. Next, move to the groin. With both hands, apply 10 gentle, slow upward strokes in the crease where the thigh meets the lower abdomen. The inguinal lymph nodes here are the major lymph node clusters that process all of the lymphatic drainage from both legs. Activating them before massaging the legs ensures that there is room in the system to receive the fluid you are about to move. Finally, use long, slow, upward strokes along the lower legs from the ankle toward the knee. 10 strokes on each leg, using a light, rhythmic pressure that moves the skin rather than compressing the muscle underneath. Lymphatic vessels are superficial, located just beneath the skin, and they respond to light pressure, not deep pressure. Heavy pressure may actually compress and close the lymphatic vessels rather than open them. The entire self-massage sequence takes approximately 2 to 3 minutes and is best performed after the ankle pumping and leg elevation while the legs are still slightly elevated. Together, these 3 steps, the diaphragmatic breathing, the ankle pumping with leg elevation, and the sequential self-lymphatic massage, form a complete protocol that addresses the 3 key mechanisms of lymphatic movement: the central thoracic pump, the peripheral muscle pump, and the lymphatic vessel activation. Each step amplifies the effect of the others. Done consistently every evening before bed, this protocol has the potential to significantly reduce overnight ankle swelling, improve sleep quality by reducing the nighttime fluid redistribution that triggers frequent urination, and over time, improve the overall efficiency of the lymphatic circulation in the lower extremities. I want to close with something that I think is critically important for you to understand about your own body. The swelling in your ankles is not random. It is not decoration. It is not simply the price of getting older. It is a physiological signal that reflects the efficiency of 2 interconnected systems: your lymphatic system, and your venous system, and the degree to which the demands placed on those systems by gravity, sedentary behavior, diet, and aging exceed their current capacity to maintain fluid balance in the lower limbs. That balance can be influenced. The research is clear that movement, specific breathing patterns, positional strategies, and targeted massage techniques all have measurable effects on lymphatic function and lower limb edema. You are not passive in this process. Your daily habits are either working with your biology or against it, and now you know enough to start working with it. If you found this video useful, leave a comment below telling me how long you have been dealing with ankle swelling, whether you have ever been given an explanation that made sense, and whether you plan to try the protocol tonight. Your comment helps other people who are searching for exactly this information find it. Share this video with someone who has been blaming their heart for their swollen ankles for years. They deserve to know the real explanation. And if you are not yet subscribed to Body Reset After 50, now is the time. This is what we do here. Real information, real biology, real solutions. See you in the next video.